Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Besides just an overwhelming professionalness, besides his late appearance, he is coming up awfully spiffed out. I know that you're in Vegas for the weekend. We all know what happened.
For Vegas.
Nathan, we're live. We're live, Nathan.
That's Jeff.
Oh, that's Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Are you guys sipping on comp teas again?
Not yet.
Not yet. It's on its way.
Justin's too good to bring up his own fucking bags.
Does he have
There's
Nathan?
only like 6 of them.
Does he have Nathan getting the bags right now?
No, they're bringing it up.
We're live right now. I'll talk to you after, Jeff. Is that who I was talking to before?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't tell. Wasn't on the screen. Shit, I wish we weren't live. All right, Justin, what'd you do with your portfolio this week? Are you positioned for OPEX? What's happening?
Gotcha. So basically what it is once Cohen sold out of Bobby, I pretty much closed out the shares that I had, sold them after hours. I still have some leaps for 80s, and I want to see if there's a spike for OPEX coming up next week. And if that's the case, my plan is just to kind of dump them on that. But there might be a point to re-entry, but my thinking is kind of let the dust settle and see what's going on from that front. I picked up an irresponsible number of Revlon calls as well and a few other plays, but that's probably where
I actually started before this, I was researching Revlon, and I don't like how good it looks.
Yeah, well, they were talking. I was listening to Pi-Fi's live stream on the plane flight up here today, and there was some interesting commentary about that. But so it's Revlon, GME, and Fubu, however the fuck you say it. Those are kind of the big ones that I'm focused on right now.
Yeah, after doing some research on Revlon, I'm much more bullish than I have been. The short interest seems to be quite high. Option chain looks actually really good. I was just kind of looking at that. I mean, there's quite a bit of call open interest. I didn't have enough time to research it thoroughly, but it seems to be quite attractive. I already have a decent rev position. Actually, I was very fortunate. I had sold all my BBBY calls before Cohen dumped, and then I bought them all back yesterday.
Nice.
So, but I mean, because I had my stops on, and it seemed like a no-brainer that I was going to go back down, just because steam was kind of getting blown out. So I didn't. It worked much better than I could have ever hoped for, but I'm very happy about that. A lot of people are upset about Cohen selling for like a $60 to like $80 billion profit or whatever. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I mean, yeah. you buy a stock at $10, $15, it runs up to 40, and you have call options. I mean, what? It's a kind of a no-brainer to just kind of dump him. And then he has a lot more capital to fund new products, or if he wants to buy back in, he absolutely can. But I mean, absolutely any trader ever is going to tell you it's not wrong to take profits, but every single person is very mad at Cohen for that, which I don't understand in the slightest bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Pi-Fi noted that, people kind of they get married to these positions, and the answer is well, unless you want to be on for the long haul, no, you trade in and you trade out or whatever, right? And honestly, like I said, if you didn't take profits, and I hope people took profits on the way up, and so myself, Nate, selling off. We still have a few left, but anyways.
Yeah, I did position pretty heavy for this OPEX, but I'm 100% going to be selling everything by Wednesday. So I mean, I picked up I'm pretty high in the margin right now, but just calculating your downside risk, I mean, maybe you take a 30% hit on the position max, because no matter what, you're out by Wednesday morning. 12 p.m. Wednesday morning, I'll be 100% out of the position if we see no run. If we do see an OPEX run and we're ripping, I'll sell, probably set up some stop losses and kind of just let them rip. I don't even remember exactly what contracts I opened up, but I picked up a few dozen GME calls of maybe 100 BBBY calls, just because they were trading extraordinarily cheap, and I'm just going to kind of see what happens, as I'm going to be dumping everything next week no matter what anyway.
Yeah. No, for my GME position, what it is, I will probably seek to exit my 237.50s if I've got a good exit opportunity for that. And it's because I want to reposition to 2024. But the thing is, I definitely want to take, the volatility gain. Those will respond hopefully very favorably. But I now want more theta. Not that, there's not enough theta left on them, but
I don't think there is enough theta. You're no longer playing for a volatility position if you're buying those old 950s, because volatility on them is not going to jump as high as it once did, because there's no longer as much time value, and the market makers are not going to be pricing the same volatility as they would if you were out an additional year. Because when stuff is running at an extreme rate, the long end of the the further out you are, the higher implied volatility is going to be, because the market maker has no clue how to position themselves or to price it. So I plan on being out of my 950s completely at the next run up, no matter what. Even if I take a loss at it, that doesn't really matter to me.
Interesting. Okay, gotcha. Well, so anyways, there's the 950s call, but I plan on repositioning, I guess, from the 2023 to the 2024 contract. Is what I'm trying to say. Whatever the top of the chain is probably what I'll be buying. But once the spike goes back down, from if there is an OPEX. The second thing is I've got 40. I targeted 40, 50, and $60 strikes for the September 16th contract, and very similar to you, Josh. My attitude is if it's an OPEX, whether it's an OPEX, my attitude is I want to be out by middle of next week. That being said, there was that interesting spike in GME into close last Friday. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, this is very much above my pay grade. But the good thing is it's nice when your portfolio closes green because you see that. But anyways,
I also have a I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory, but I heard this on some podcast that was making fun of BBBY, but
yeah.
Have you heard of that guy, that like apparent 20-year-old kid who borrowed $27 million casual?
Oh, yeah, Dad sent me an article about that.
But then he made, I don't know, 100 million. I don't know I don't know how many 20-year-old kids you know, but if you can borrow $27 million at the young age of 27, it seems a little sketchy to me. To me, it seems a lot more like, the original thesis was kind of from the Market Huddle, where they were kind of making fun of BBBY. Not that I care, but they were saying, well, they've been in the hedge fund industry for a while, and if you were a big player, it's a lot easier. If you want to manipulate a market, why not just pin it on a 20-year-old kid? Why not give him $27 million, have him YOLO? Like, because I mean, if you're giving someone $27 million, like what? I mean, that and not that you're diversifying it into this massively complex portfolio. I mean, he dumped it all into BBBY. I mean, like, how many people are going to give a 20-year-old kid that type of money unless you're telling him to do that? Unless there's someone kind of pulling the ropes and they are kind of manipulating that kind of market. Which, if they are, what is the purpose, and what do they know that we happen to not?
Yeah. No, anyways, it's crazy science, and like I never thought I would have learned so much. Or back up. What I've learned is that I've learned that I know, and I've learned how ignorant I am. Because every time I watch this, every time I learn more, I just learn that there's more stuff I don't know for that.
Why were you and Nathan on a different flight?
I'm sorry.
Why were you and Nathan on a different flight?
No, we were on the same flight. But what it was is that we were supposed to go up last night, but then we were going to get in late. So I was like, no, we'll just roll it back till today. And I switched from a connection to a nonstop. So.
What are you guys doing tonight in Vegas? Are you going to that Italian restaurant?
Yeah, no, it's French. It's going to French, and so I don't know if we're going to get up to a $1,000 dinner.
Is that the same dinner that we went to? That you guys said it'll give us the most expensive caviar, and
and of course, you're allergic to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the type of nonsense that goes.
You're
on.
going to that same place?
Yeah, and the only thing too is like the room, like it's someone smoked in the room, so they have like this. I don't know if you can see it, or whatever, but it's. Whatever. And so the point is that like I got some candles the other day, thinking like, well, whatever, right? Just for this particular situation. So, but anyways, that's not really macro.
Yeah, please don't light anything on fire.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, okay, let's see what questions.
Sorry, will you guys be gambling tonight?
Maybe. We've got another buddy, Blake, who's in town as well, and so when two of my buddies, they get together, it's like you create this like positive feedback loop, and there's booze in Vegas involved. It generally like.
Do you have the Comptes? Oh, you didn't drive up. Did you bring it?
No. I've got four bottles. The point is I had to check it, and because I had like anyways, the point is I've got like I must have checked like 200 pounds of suitcase. Like it was really embarrassing.
So have you guys started drinking your fine champagne yet, or are you waiting for after this?
You have to chill it.
Oh, so you have Nathan on ice duty. All right. This is definitely, I don't think anyone cares about this besides us. Jonathan, let's get it, boys. We find out if AMC has synthetics or not. I don't know how accurate it is going to be. If by my poor understanding, Justin, is it that they were doing something with NFTs or like where you get like a blockchain?
For AMC, so what they're trying to do is, so Aaron, I think, wants to basically split the stock. The shareholders said no, so they're trying to backdoor it in. But again, like when you look at like the leadership team of AMC, like I want nothing to do with it because I want nothing to do with it. I don't really follow it that much, and so like I don't have any good insight to offer on that.
It would be interesting. I have absolutely no clue, but if the news does break, I'm excited to see what happens. How's it going, all-nighter? I hope everything is well with your law degree coming in check. JCAD, hey guys, thoughts on OPEX, thoughts on RC selling his BBBY shares? We kind of covered that. OPEX I have no clue what's going to happen, but a possibility is there. So I'm playing it, but very, very skeptically. In fact, I don't even, in my base case would probably be that I would say there's a 40% chance it happens, 60% it doesn't. So I would say that we most likely don't see an OPEX, but if we do, I want to be positioned just because the risk to reward is so wildly in your favor if we do see one. And if you cut your losses by Wednesday, I mean, you're not going to take anything below a 30-20% haircut unless you really fuck something up.
Yeah, and Josh, let me just add to that. So Jay also writes, for the things, the negative hedge, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I'll read it. Also, it seems like a lot of low expectations for OPEX, about 1 to 2 months. I recalled PiFi talking about how obligations from ETFs were compounded and not getting cleared. But yet it seems like the obligations are low and MM does not have the negative hedge like they normally do. I thought the post NOPEX would cascade into a greater OPEX, but their exposure is gone. Yeah, fair, great point.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, also remember too, like, you might have varying degrees of OPEXs or whatever, right? You might have like an insane run up like we saw in March. March was a pretty big run, or you might have kind of like, even if it runs like, let's say 15 to 25%, even if it does that, as long as you positioned, or ready, it might be a little late to chase. But the point is that like the calls that I got, I can't look at, I typically have another screen where I've got my portfolio up so I can, answer those off the top of my head. But I would say from where we're at right now, like, even if it's like a 10 or 15% run, no, that's really profitable. I mean, it might be as profitable, but profit is profit. So, and this is something too that I've tried to tighten up. And Josh, you were always much better at me than this, is that, learning how to manage your risk, learning how to buy the right kinds of calls, not sitting in and holding calls like I did last time or whatever, right? So, and really the other thing too is like when you're watching this, looking out for like an IV drop if they start crushing it, because if that happens, that's pretty much an exit signal for myself to get the hell out. But again, that's just me sitting on PiFi stream throughout the day. So anyways, my plans for Vegas is basically being up at 6:30 in the morning, because that's when, the market's open Pacific time, and then, wrapping up at 1 and just sitting in my room glued to the computer to make sure I don't miss something.
Well, you'll probably be up at 6:30 anyway, as that's what happens at Vegas. But what I would like to touch on, that I thought very much so, I thought that obligations would compound, and we've seen nothing like that. And to me, that is
well, hold on just a second. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. We haven't seen any direct evidence yet, but that's not.
But we're seeing all inverse evidence. Like we see no smoke bubbling. Like during the other stuff, did we not see, we saw borrow rates starting to rise rapidly. We would see a lot of other signs under the surface that looked like something was happening when right now we're not. And you could kind of use your same argument that there's no evidence. That doesn't mean there isn't anything, but it doesn't seem like there's anything right now. And so my base case is that it's not, because I can't see it.
Could be, but also recall what happened with Tesla, when they went through their split or whatever, right? It was a T plus, PiFi knows the sequence better than I do, but it was a T plus 35 plus, 2 or whatever, right? And so I would think if we're going to see something, or back up, if we don't see something by September, OPEX, that's when I would say, okay, that we need to move on or whatever, right? But I kind of want to give it to at least then, if for no other reason, just looking at what happened with Tesla. But Josh, yeah, you are correct as it stands right now, I think.
What are your thoughts on the possibility of GameStop buying BBBY? Is it long-term good for GameStop? I haven't a clue. If it's good for GameStop long-term, I don't know how to analyze these kind of growth stocks and retail companies. That is not my bag. It's certainly not Justin's either. So how would we, I don't know how to value that. If it's good, it would be good for BBBY's price action, but I don't know what the probability of something like that happening, nor if it's going to be good for GameStop long-term.
Yeah, and also for Bobby, for example, like if your cost basis is like less than 50 cents for August 80s or whatever, and you already took profit, maybe you just kind of let it ride or whatever, right? And then for the others, like I said, as long as you're managing your risk, as you said, Josh, you get in and you get out or whatever, right?
Anthony, how's it going, bud? So what kind of business are you still setting up? A trucking company along with other things, or I know that you had a bunch of stuff going on. Update us in the chat, and I'd love to hear it. Shit. Thoughts on Citadel taking a $600 million loan? That stuff kind of happens on the daily for those big guys. Like, that's not a ton of money, and that could literally be to like pay off Kenny's new mega jet.
Yeah, it's too small to be big, but it's too big to be small. For the amount of like money these guys dabble in or whatever, right?
Yeah, I would bet that their off-balance sheet is in the trillions, just realistically, just because of how much leverage someone can have.
Yeah, exactly, Phil. Exactly. Yeah.
The GME spike into close was weekly put options being sold off. Ooh, regarding GME, according to the CBOE data, there was a almost $6 million in put option delta that expired last week. Call delta was plus almost 800,000. That is really interesting.
Okay, gotcha.
That might
This
sound
might be-
better. Yeah, it sounds better. A little loud.
Yeah.
If you had to speculate, what do you think the plan is for BBBY? I mean, I bought calls just because, I mean, they just got absolutely demolished, and I had sold mine all the day before. So I was honestly just extremely lucky. I do think that we have a decent chance of a run, but at what probabilities would I place on it? I do think there's a below a 50 chance, but if it does run, there's a lot that it could move.
Yeah, and like I said, like if you've got like a relatively low investment in Bobby, you've already gotten your money back or whatever, right? Maybe let it ride with the house. My attitude is I'm gonna let that ride with the house's money for this coming OPEX cycle, but then I'll close out. I might reposition. Like if it goes back down to 5 or whatever, sure, I might buy back in. But I kind of want to see what's going to happen when the dust settles after OPEX for that.
What type of options are you holding on the SPY wall? Justin, I think you have.
Oh, well, I had puts, but I closed them out on Friday. I didn't want to hold them over the weekend. I might re-enter for that, but I kind of want to see what happens with OPEX first in that regard.
Yeah, I'm not trading SPY right now. If I was, I'd buy some puts, but I'm not doing anything like that. I hope that we continue to see a run in the overall markets, because I mean everyone's bearish right now, and that scares me. I personally am very bearish too, but I'm not positioned for anything. In fact, my portfolio is much more hedged if we see an upside move, even though I think the stock market should be going down with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Do you think they covered OPEX during last week's run? If not, how can they keep kicking the can on OPEX?
So the way I don't know the answer to that question, but here's how I'm trying to frame it: is that OPEXs might come in different, shapes, sizes, or whatever, right? And even if you see, let's say, like a 10 or 15% run in OPEX, that might be the case. Now, ideally, it looks best, they slam it down, because they slam it down, then they run it up to, drive liquidity for that, because they need the shares, they need, this stuff to turn over. And so I think that's interesting. But even then, like you said, if you position correctly and it runs like 10 or 15% or whatever, that's still 10 or 15% that you can get if you've positioned correctly, and that'll be very profitable. Not as profitable as, let's say, 100% or 150% run up, but still there. As far as kicking the can goes, like, yeah, it's frustrating. But my attitude is this: let them kick the can, let them play their games. As Manarino says, we will play our games. And so learn how to profit.
At some point, we have to know, are we wrong about everything that's going on? And I mean, I don't know. I'm going to continue to position and play it, but I mean, eventually we have to kind of think that we could be looking at misaccurate data. Just, I mean, you have to.
Oh, we certainly are. Oh, we certainly are looking at misaccurate. See, that's the thing, right? Even, Greg, all this stuff, like it's nobody has the accurate data. So you're trying to, it's like you're a blind man, trying to build like a rocket or whatever, right? Just fumbling around, it's hard. It's hard.
How can they keep kicking the cans on OPEX? I mean, there's a decent chance that they're just fumbling these obligations like that in a different way, in a way that they weren't doing before. Is it more risky, less risky because more people caught on to OPEX? I have absolutely no clue. But there's also the chance that we were wrong about the whole thing.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. When it comes to this, like, remember, like the people, like for MOASS to happen, I'll say it like that. The system has to call bullshit on the system. That is the thing that's going to kick it off. But the system, the system has the strongest of motives not to call bullshit on itself, because calling bullshit on itself is going to basically destroy the system. So what you're going to see is that I suspect that if you think about it logically, they will pull out all the stops they possibly can in order to delay and to can kick, both, the market participants, both the regulators, just everything or whatever, right? And so what that means is that if you believe in the MOASS thesis or whatever, right, which I do, you've got to basically hold time. Now, holding time's problematic when you hold options, because they're these decaying assets. And so what you do in order to make money in the interim and justify the cost of holding options to protect you in the case of MOASS, or shares too, if that's probably a better play, but whatever, is you've got to know how to, like, make the cycles work for you. So my attitude is as Girk says, learn how to play volatility, even if it's a short spike or whatever, right? And use that to fund the long-term position to hedge yourself in case there's a MOASS.
Have you guys looked into Root? It looks like it's on the verge of a squeeze. Not even a little bit. It could be interesting though.
Yeah, Fubo's the one that I've been paying attention to. So, excuse me one second.
That's what Girk said. I I don't know which phrase that we were talking about that. Anthony, yeah, just readjusting type of corporation to get around BS socialist California laws. Will seek S corp election, which will save us in taxes. Anyways, that's kind of what the free market does. They get around all the regulation and taxes that the government comes in place with, making everything less efficient. In the meantime, it is horrible. I knew that you were trying to get your family out of Texas. I mean, get from California to Texas. Have you had any luck in that? Because it doesn't seem like California is getting much better anytime soon. Tesla is doing a split dividend. Do you think there will be as many issues as Jimmy? I have no clue. Don't follow the stock. If you got completely out of BBBY, at what price would you reconsider entering / reposition?
Like 5 to 6.
I don't have a price target for something. I mean, I got completely out the day before Cohen said that said they dropped all his shares just because I had some trailing stops and I didn't want to lose any profits. So I kind of got out, was very lucky, and then I bought back in case there's a run next week. It's much more timing for events and potential asymmetric opportunities, or if there's just if their options are super cheap. It's really whatever you think, though. Justin's is 5, I guess.
Yeah.
You guys think the Fed might pause or will still go heavy raising rates? I do not think the Fed will pause raising rates if we continue to see elevated CPI prints. I mean, if we drop down to 5% in the next CPI, then maybe they start to cool off the can. But I do not see a circumstance where if inflation CPI measured by their metrics are still above 7-8%, that they're not going to continue raising rates until it drastically goes down. And then at what point, because there are some structural issues right now, I don't think inflation's going to go back down to 2% where they want. I mean, what happens if a year down the line inflation's still at 4% and their target's still 2?
Yeah. The other thing, Josh, to add too, is I don't know how to like hedge this, but like you've got the political angle too. Like I don't know how that's gonna like play out too with the election cycle coming up. I know that kind of like goes against you've got to, yeah, that's where they are. There you go. Sorry guys. You've got to you've got to like somehow factor in the politics of this, but that's something to pay attention to as well. I don't know how it's going to play out, but just understand there's a political angle at play here too.
Yeah, but I like usually, I mean, if you look back in history, the Fed raises rates much further than people will imagine. I mean, it just always happens. Even they'll say, oh yeah, like we're going to cool off the brakes, but then I don't think they will until inflation is curbed, as that is what they've told you they will do. And I happen to believe them right now. Usually I do not, but I think that's what they'll actually do. If they don't raise rates, I still think like there could be a chance of the market coming down, because I think rates are actually too high right now, which is contrary to most beliefs. Me and Mr. George Gammon have talked about this pretty extensively, and he did a whiteboard video on it. But I mean, if you just look at where the yield curve is right now and where the Fed funds is, I think the market pricing for Fed funds would be much lower than the Fed currently has it. So I think it's going to have to come down if something breaks. But I do think something will break. If BBBY spin off baby, what happens to shares that people are holding?
There'll be some either dividend or cash consideration given. So
I think Rev is probably a better play than BBBY right now. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at my allocation, I am
You're
egregiously
balls deep, like ridiculous. Like your nuts aren't even in the water. Like you've gone full blown like tank. I don't even know why. I mean, I didn't know why. And I don't even think you really knew why. You're just like, okay, I'll buy more.
I didn't want to miss out. Everyone else was doing it.
I haven't heard anyone talking about Rev, which I actually like to see. I mean, everyone kind of talks about GME, BBBY.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's opportunity in that. I mean, think back to the COVID era with Hertz, or I mean, a lot of these times when a company is a terrible company and they should be going bankrupt, but the market happens to price it like they're already bankrupt, and that provides opportunity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ron Perlman. Yeah. I'm getting out of the comments here, but yeah. What is Revlon makes makeup, right?
Something dumb.
It's some chick company, right? Whatever.
Revlon seems to be having a lot. Yeah. We are continuing to follow that play. Absolutely. And in fact, before we did this, it was kind of my first time doing some real DD on it. I've only got like 20 minutes in, but I mean, it looks really interesting.
Yeah, 35Cs is like I've maybe got some 9s, but like the 35Cs, it's just like
You're irresponsibly low.
Well, no, the thing is, like, I ran up the first time. I took like profits, on like so I did pretty well that, and then I just
That's dangerous, Dustin. You made money and then you think, oh, this is too easy.
I'm in Vegas right now, so I'm kind of going to lose it all when we're done here. So,
or you're about to go go on absolute killing spree with your good autism, and you'll be like a Birdman, just killing the casinos. I don't know if that's YouTube friendly. We'll probably get insta banned.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see a property crash? Crash, that's a tough word, because I mean, I think it would be difficult for the housing market to go down by 30% in a month, like the stock market.
Yeah, and also remember, real estate happens in slow motion. Like it goes up slow and it goes down slow.
But there's a shit ton of underwater deals going down for a lot of these big firms that I have some real insider information on that, where I mean a lot of these guys are hanging on by a thread. That's Are you getting a glass of
yeah, hold on 1 second. Let's grab one of these. This, by the way, is what I keep bitching about right here.
Comp teas.
Yeah.
Jeff, how's it going, bud?
Josh says, how's it going? Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so that's
Comp teas. It's just a poor man bottle of champagne that Justin happens to love. But I do think the property market is going to come down substantially, and I think there's actually a decent chance. But when I say decent, I'm calling it 10 to 20% chance that we could actually see a crash style event in the market, because I think there's much more leverage in real estate right now than the stock market, just because everyone that was a single family guy back in 2008 when everything was going on, they instantly went into massive multifamily units. And I mean, everyone was raising money, but the problem when you're raising a ton of money is when, if you go dry ever, you're going to have to do things for money that you never thought you were going to have to do. And people are doing that right now in mass. And I've actually heard some personal stories that people are doing a lot worse things than the Wendy's dumpster.
There were some pros hanging around the lobby, like more so than usual when I checked. And it's a Sunday too. So
there was some what?
Some pros driving Vegas.
Thoughts on what chain of events in the West will happen when China housing market crashes? I actually am hoping, well, you never want to hope for the downfall of a country, but as the Chinese property market is crashing, which it seems like it is right now substantially, that could pose a headwind on commodities in the US, which I would love to see, as I am a long-term buyer. And that's the biggest thing that I could hope for, that we could see copper, coal, a lot of these things just get obliterated.
Gotcha. Yeah, Hugh, exactly right. Ron Perlman, he's the big investor in Revlon. And Python said earlier today on his stream, like, look, this guy has plenty of money. He bought it and he stayed in, and he held his position underwater, and his cost basis is 20. He wants it to squeeze. Or I'm afraid like that.
You know what I would not be surprised of, Justin? Mm-hmm. If there's a 20-year-old kid who raises $27 million in hopes of squeezing a stock.
Yeah. Yeah,
will it be worth in 2008? Well, for housing market, I don't know. I mean, I'm just so bearish on the economy and everything. I mean, it's tough to. I think economically we will get much worse in 2008, but will that be in 2023 or will that be in 2027? And I don't know. We just kicked the can down the road. I mean, we were talking about offsetting obligations on GME. I mean, think about what the government has done for decades, and I mean, eventually we're gonna have to pay the fiddler.
Oh yeah, hold on a second. I'm getting ahead in the comments. Yeah,
will metropolitan real estate market be hit harder than areas like Idaho metro areas that grew substantially during and after the pandemic? Justin, what do you think?
My guess would probably be yes.
As a rube myself, no. I'll frame it a different way for the people in the comments that don't know what a metropolitan real estate.
Oh no, it's going to be like a major metro area, like the coastal cities or like a big city.
Yeah. I think cities will definitely take it harder. And if you just go to these cities, anyone that has money wants to get out, just because they're so shitty right now. MOASS before Christmas? I don't know.
I will at this one. My guess is, and I just say it's plenty of MOASS, I think MOASS is going to occur on a full moon. Like I just keep going. Like the elites love, their full moon rituals. So that's my guess.
That Comtease is $200.
Oh no! So if you're getting the 2007, you could get the 07 for like 165 to 185 depending upon what you're buying. But the 08 was a little pricier. If you get the rosé, it's maybe like 220.
Is it better than
230.
Dom? Is the question.
Oh, is it better than Dom? Dom's good, but I think Dom's a little overrated. The Comtease is much more has like a buttery flavor, is what I think.
See,
Anyways,
Comtease aren't my favorite. It's okay. If you want to know some real champagne, there's a great bottle of Josh for $10 at your local liquor store.
no, Josh likes
Billicart.
So yeah.
That one was my favorite, and I got scolded at by Jeff, who's there right now, Justin, and then another buddy, because I when they were fancily drinking their fine champagne, and I mean it was still a $70 bottle or whatever, and I said, "Wow, this one's way better." And then I mean I almost got pushed into the locker. And bullied.
Yeah. Just a side note. So I've got a trip. I'm trying to go to the Maldives, next year, cashing in some points or whatever, right? And in Singapore, at the Qatar lounge, they just opened up. I think they actually they pour Veuve. It's Veuve, and I think it's Bollinger is what they pour, but they don't pour salmon. Yeah.
Justin, I'll make the trip with you. What, you want to go to Maldives or wherever?
Josh, I don't know if you can afford it. Like I was cashing my points for the room. It was like $1,400 a night, and I guess that's a lot. Sorry,
I'll be fine sleeping on the floor. I'll book my plane ticket. Is Nathan gonna go?
Well, anyways, it's more so just finding a way to get over there and do be cheap. I like to be cheap, so.
He likes to be cheap doing the most expensive things on this planet.
They have plenty of money. They're not going to miss any of it.
Justin, about to start my associate. Any tips?
Yeah, so I assume that so basically, I mean, the thing you start off with as grunt work or whatever, right? But I had a friend who did basically, or multiple friends who've done the track. One in particular, she did the track and she jumped over to industry far quicker than the typical thing would be. And then she jumped back to accounting. Then she decided she wanted to be a mom and retired. But I would say depending upon what you want to do, like definitely put out the feelers and definitely get to know, assuming you do want to go into industry at some point in time, make certain that you know how to liaison. So you've got that, like your network built up in your back pocket. And if you still want to stay on with the firm and go for the partner track, if you build the connections that, the companies you're auditing or advising, assuming you're into audit or advisory, if you're doing tax, it's a slightly different track on that front. But the point is that like, if you can drive business to the firm, that's going to make the people above you and the people above the people of you really, really glad. So a great way to be useful when you can like build your networking connection and use it, whether for yourself or to drive business to the firm if you want to stay with the accounting firm. Is it big four or is it mid-size or is it small?
If a 20-year-old can cause a squeeze with 27 million, how is it possible that a retail with hundreds of millions cannot move the price of GME? Because people are not moving in synchronous and GME, and who knows if there's hundreds of millions. Just looking at the option data of GME, it's not hundreds of millions.
Yeah, but let me go back to this one thing. I keep saying this over and over and over again. Like GME, the squeeze is not happening in a vacuum. Like the system does not want. If the squeeze happens, there will be major implications for the system. So,
and I would also argue that it wasn't just that 27-year-old with 27 million, but that definitely helps when someone does something like that.
But it's not just Citadel, it's not just the market makers, it's not just the primes, it's not just the DTCC and all the other CCs, it's not just the DFMUs, it's not just the Fed, it's not just the when I say like literally nobody wants this to happen, like you're going to have to point a gun. Oh no, I should say it like that. MOASS and the squeeze will only happen after they have exhausted every other possible alternative. And like, just wait till you see the stuff that's coming down the pike, whatever, right? Aliens coming down from the sky or whatever bullshit excuse. When Klaus Schwab gets on and starts talking about we are facing the global pandemic cyber attack, hint, what they're going to do is that they're just planning on shutting down the networks or creating some, disaster, some predefined disaster. They can roll out their solution, and if that disaster just happens to put another stop or at least slow down the momentum for a MOASS, they'll do it in a heartbeat. So again, when it comes to this, like, why isn't it happening yet? Why isn't it happening yet? Why isn't it happening yet? Always remember that everyone involved, from both the bad guys that we know and the bad guys we don't know, and the people who think we have our back but really don't, nobody wants this to happen. I think it will eventually happen because balance sheets cannot be expanded indefinitely, but until it gets to that point, it hasn't. So, but just bear in mind all this inertia that's being pushed back against it. So
if you like Cabernet, Jordan is fantastic. Oh. I've never had it.
Yeah, actually, so the one, like, I'm not really a big fan of reds, but the one I like, and I feel like this is so like cliche to say, is I really like the Prisoner. I found it on United actually.
I like that one a lot when I got a bottle.
It's smooth. It's a very smooth for a red. So
BBBY will make an announcement by the end of the month. Could be spicy. If they do say that they're getting bought out, that would be extraordinarily interesting.
Oh yeah, $600.
Don't
Because I gotta
forget
put you on a seaplane and a boat.
fees. It can be pricey when you land. Justin knows way more about that.
Yep. Ah, Schwab. Thank you.
Shrink you. Anyone looking for some laughs? Check out Facebook and Twitter comments for the WF. yeah. I'm sure it's ridiculous. It is very impressive how comedic like the groups can be building off each other.
Do you know that Schwab is a I keep reading that Schwab's mother, I can't say it on YouTube, but there's a certain word that kind of, what would be a good way to describe it? Let's say you have a Roth IRA. So there's a family that has a very similar name.
Rothschild?
I never said that. But yeah, I would look at that. I would look at that. They really tried to debunk it, but it tracked the maternal lineage up through the family tree. It's funny how those people always keep showing up. Anyways, parasites.
LOL. All AMC insiders sell all their shares, and MSM says nothing. But RC sells shares in a company he invests in, and then they painted him as the bad guy. And I mean, he made $70 million or whatever. I mean, if you're mad at a guy who makes a extraordinarily massive profit, I mean, you got some self-reflecting to do.
Yeah, and like I said, and like if you're selling Bobby, like I said, if you haven't taken profits, but I gotta say, take profits right now. Pair a little bit of risk back. If you still want to maintain some exposure, like I probably will reduce. Maybe I'll hold like 10 calls of the 80s or whatever, right? But there's 40 that I need to let go. So,
well, it seems like the questions are drying up. So why don't you talk about your plans for Vegas? I mean, you go there on a Sunday night or Sunday.
Well, so the plan is because so the thing was I put some buddies coming through town or whatever, like Jeff and et cetera, and a few others. And the thing is, for OPEX, I was going to drive up because I typically don't like flying anymore, but whatever, just, fate and circumstance conspired against that. And so like when I came up here, like, I booked a suite, which I very rarely do, but whatever, because I just have to be glued to my computer to deal with OPEX, babysit the positions, and then that's that. But like,
let's see the suite.
So we're Vidar. That's Aria across the street right there.
Wow. Oh wait, let me.
So,
oh, that thing's nice. Jeez.
So, anyways,
wow, that's a nice little room.
Yeah,
kitchen. Oh wow. So, I hate you.
Oh, life is hard, Josh. Life is hard. Life is hard. So, anyways, that's that. That's the suite.
So tonight you guys are going to go out, do some, have a large feed of negative feedback loops, and then probably make some decisions that your mother would not be too proud of.
Yeah, Dad would be proud of Mom. Mama might not be too proud of Baby Bird. But what I would say is that we're going to Bardot, which is a place that you and I went to last time. And I don't know if we're going to run up a bill that we were. Oh, Josh, are you frozen? Am I frozen?
I think everything's all good.
There we go. Yeah, so they've got a good caviar course, and they really have a good beef Wellington. So
I do remember. I don't know why you would go there and get the same thing though. I mean,
no, I'm not eating. I'm on a fast. That's the thing, right? So I'm not eating anything. So.
Is Nathan on a fast too? So that's why the bill is not going to be so much because you're not going to.
4 of us. Are you crazy? Between Jeff and Blake and the caviar fish, like that's going to be $1,000.
Are you not going? No. You're like a social eater now. Once in a while, like I bet that you'll have a beef Wellington because you like.
No. I might do like a French onion soup, but just like the broth. You just tell the kitchen, like, just I want a bowl of nothing but like the broth from French onion soup. I'll eat that or whatever.
Yeah, they're gonna tell you go fuck yourself. Order more caviar.
Yeah. Class didn't like your comments. No cocoa lights.
Well,
hey, the night's still young. The night's still young.
Yeah. Most money lost in Vegas. Justin.
None, because I don't really gamble that much. I mean, like, what I'll do is like
Justin gambles in the markets like nobody's business.
Yeah, no, but I've got a buddy who knows how to do like the blackjack things, and he
doesn't. Jeff know how to play blackjack?
Yeah, like remember Jeff when you were there? Like,
he got like banned from a bunch of casinos or something like that, right?
Well, almost, but when you got booted out of that blackjack table,
I know that he lost a ton of money because he went.
No, but he closed out even. He closed out even on the thing. Yeah, but he was paying like $500 hands or like $1,000.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I actually just learned how to play blackjack when I was at the Ritz-Carlton for the collective event, like with like the beach casino. One of the dudes there really knew how to play, so he kind of taught me. So like, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
I still lost everything because I made some irresponsible bets, and because we weren't paying with real money, so I didn't care.
So check it. Yeah. Costa don't like your comments. Yeah. There we go. It's funny how that Adams has the same problem. If you ever follow Scott Adams, you know.
I beat around the dealer. I should have it right in my little book collection over here. Here we go. It's still dusted off. I read it. I mean, it's okay. I like he was reading it to learn probabilities, but like for me, learning probabilities, I had two books that I thought were 100 times better to just think in probabilistic terms. But it's really whatever floats your boat. For me, I liked Fooled by Randomness and Super Forecasters. Those two books helped me put my thoughts into probabilities. I mean, some people would be blackjack, some people would be anything. You just need to find something that works for you.
Yeah, there was a lot of question marks. I think this is just
you need to read it, Justin.
Oh yeah, I'm from the UK. My broker didn't do the shares as a dividend, rather they did it as a normal split. Yeah, D's. My gut tells me this is just ignorance, not malice. Might be wrong, but anyways. Okay, Josh.
Yeah.
I need to bounce here. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Like, it's been
all right, guys. It was great hanging out. Thanks if you spent a little bit of time with us, and we're gonna see you later.